On today's episode, we're going to show you how to make this from this. Stick around, we're going to show you how we did it. Well, first thing we're going to have to do, we're going to drill out all of our spot welds, pull this piece completely out, take it over to the metal table, fabricate up some patch pieces, weld them in, grind them down, and then get this welded back in. So stick around, it's going to be a lot of good information. Hope you guys enjoy it. We've got all these drilled out, broke loose. These are all drilled out, broke loose. We're working on this area right in here. Now, one of the things you run into from time to time, the way this is formed, see if I can get around and get you a better view. There's not really any way to get in there with your drill, because your drill is going to hit here, the chuck on it, and hold you off center. So, easiest solution for that, just get you a socket, put it on, extend it out, good to go. Alright guys, there it is. Oh, as you can see, we got several spots to address on it. We got to rebuild this corner here, rebuild this back here and back here. I think they make this panel. We may talk about, may look see how much one is. You may end up just replacing it. If you look at the bottom side, a lot more rust back there. So, but we'll check it out, let you know what we come up with. Alright guys, now that we've got our package tray extension out, we're going to go ahead and get it fixed. We got a lot of rust to do on it. My plan is, I'm probably going to do this front corner in two different pieces. We'll make one patch that'll go in and take care of all of this out to this corner. Then I'll make a second one, just a little patch to go in down here, and that'll take care of all of this. This will probably be its own little patch here, and this will be its own little patch here. Of course, this one, you know, this is radiused here, it's radiused up here, this is on an angle here, plus it's bent around this way. So that one's going to be an interesting one to make, but stick around, we'll show you how we do it. Alright guys, so here's what we've done so far. We trimmed our piece down, got it a little closer to the actual size so it wasn't overlapping this changing right here. So then we stuck it down in our vise. We just took our hands and bent it over for now, and it just loosely clamped in the vise, so I didn't have it all the way down tight, and looks like that got it pretty close. We're going to take and tighten this radius up just a little bit. Easiest way to do that, we're going to put it back in our vise. We're going to clamp it this time. Then we'll take our hammer and work right along that edge, and that'll tighten that radius up and get us fitting a little bit closer to where we need to be on that. It doesn't take much. See, it's already tightened it up quite a bit, so let's see where we're at now. Too tight, so we're going to loosen it back up. Now the way we're going to do that, I got a little T-dolly. I just made this. This is just made out of 2 long bolts. This is the unthreaded part of the bolt here. Weld them together. You can do several different sizes of bolts, so it gives you some different radiuses and stuff to work with. Oh, we're going to lay that up there. That ain't bad. See it? Rounded it out just enough. That's matching up pretty good there now. Now we can go ahead. We've got to bring this on around just a little bit more. So we're going to put it back on our T-dolly. And we're going to work along this outer edge. We're not going to hit the edge now. We're going to work just past it. And that will take and help us kind of fine tune this end up here. And that's got us fitting pretty close there. So now we'll come back and start trimming the rust out, because once we cut this out, that's going to allow this piece, it's actually going to scoot over that way just a little bit more. Then we can start marking out our line here and trimming that piece in. Alright guys, we've got our panel pretty well matched up with the contour up here, fitting good down here. Come back here on the back, marked it out with a Sharpie to get a rough cut on where we want to start. And again, we're going to cut inside this line, so just to get us a good starting point. Then we'll come back and use the grinder and kind of trim and cut it back to where we want it to be. So. Alright guys, we're getting a little closer. We would come back and take just a little bit more off the top here. We got this around the bottom fitting good. Got just a little bit more trimming to do right up here in this area here to get that to lay on up in there. So they'll be ready to tack this one in place. And it's just a little bit right here on this corner is the only thing that's holding us out. We'll clean this up, get it tacked in place, go set it on the car and see how it fits. Alright guys, there's the first piece of our patch made. Really get everything cleaned up and welded in. This will come back over a little bit. These are just holding it out. Me working it down in there kind of knocked it out of place too. But lines up pretty good overall. We'll start getting it welded in. I'm sure we'll have to do just a little bit of final adjusting on it once we get it in place. But looking good. Then we're going to start our piece for the front up here. Alright guys, there's the first part of our patch done. It's all welded in, ground down. Fits pretty good. So next thing we're going to do, we're going to make this little piece here. We're working on our next piece. Basically we just took another little piece of metal. We marked it off. We held it up here and marked it off so we got the right depth here. And then put our bend in it and then went back and shaped it where it lines up good with our cut here, lines up good back here. Now we just got to go back, weld it in, grind it down, and then we'll cut off our excess here, down through here, and this side over here. So I'm not going to bore you with the welding and the grinding, but we'll get it welded up and show you what where we end up. Alright guys, there's the front part of our patch made. Got everything ground down, rounded off. So we're kind of done with that. Starting on this back section right here. We've got our little patch formed so that it fits up in there right. So held it up in there. We took the scribe and we scribed a line around the inside. I don't know if you can see that or not. It's scribed right there. So we'll go back, take the cut-off wheel and the grinders, grind back to that line, get it fit in there, and then we'll get it welded up. Alright guys, there's our next little piece made. It's just kind of rinse and repeat. You fit, you grind, you bend till you get it fit in there exactly the way you want it. Did end up getting my gap just a little wide on this side over here, but we can take care of that when we weld it up. And then this drops down over here and kind of angles down just a little bit through here, so I wasn't too worried about up here at the top where that got a little wide, because eventually all of that's going to be going away from about right there, about middle ways of that down, because that's got to come around and meet up with this side. So we'll get her welded up and show you what we got when we're done. Alright guys, there's patch number, I guess you'd call it 3. I got 3 down and this one back here to go. Alright guys, we're going to continue fixing our little filler panel here and start working on this piece over here. We've got a little piece of metal cut out that we're going to start forming to it. So we're going to kind of play this one by ear. This has a pretty good radius on it here in this area. So we got to find something. I've tried a couple of things. I think I know what I'm going to use to build this radius here. Then we'll have to bend it down this way. I've got it big enough. We can cut this whole end off right here if we need to, but I think I'm going to come down to about right here, come across here, and then bring it up around into this area. That way it gets this lip and everything. Try to make it all out of one piece. I may end up going back, cut this off, and just weld a new lip on through here. We'll kind of play it by ear, see how it goes, see what happens. Right. So I got a couple of different sizes. These are just exhaust pipes. And if you look, hopefully you can see that. That pipe is not terribly bad, but it doesn't fill all the gaps. Looks like there's a little bit of gap down here in this corner. This is the same size pipe, but it's just an adapter. It's been popped up to 2 1/4 inch. Hold it in there. It's got a bigger gap over on this side. So if we look at this side over here, so that one fits pretty good. So this is 2 inch inside diameter exhaust pipe. The other side's 2 1/4 inch. So we're going to use this side here to start with. That'll get us started on our radius and get us headed in the right direction, hopefully. Alright, so that's got our radius sitting there pretty close. So we're kind of flat along here, and we're flat along the back side back here. So that gets us close. Now we're going to start working in this area right here where it kind of bends up and then flattens back out. So we'll come back, we'll take a marker, we'll kind of draw this out where it needs to be. I think this is going to be one of those times you see me make a template so that I'm going to build a template to set right in here, and that way it'll help me find where to mark my metal here to start this bending up, and then we can just take a measure off that line there to bring it back down to kind of match this up. What to do the template, I just got just a little piece of thick paper that we can lay it down in there, draw out our lines, get everything marked out, and then we'll transfer it over to our new piece of metal. Alright, so there we've got our template made. We just laid it out. Cut it out according to our old piece. Kind of extended this line on around. And we took our piece that we'd already started bending on, laid this out, marked it out in here, and then on our old piece, this is going to be the lip where it lips up, and it kind of fades away as it goes towards the back. So we took a couple different measurements. This was a 1/2 inch up here, just fell back to a 1/4 inch back here, and then faded away down here. So we just marked us some lines out, roughed that in, and we'll see, we'll tweak that as we go along once we start working this more into place. So because this has such a curve to it, it'd be really hard to bend this with vice grips or just a vice or a hammer or anything else. Now you could take and find you a pipe or something with that radius and kind of work it along there, but since we do have and this is just a little inexpensive bead roller, it's a 8-inch Eastwood, it's eyed on 21487, and these are marking dies that we can run along this line, and it's going to pre-stretch that metal right through there, and then we can go ahead and bend it up and then we'll run them back across this line so we can flatten it back down. This is just one of those times, yes, you could do it you know, with a pipe and a hammer, but it's one of those times that we're going to use a tool maybe not everybody has, but it's going to make for a much nicer job. And these are not real expensive. I think it's less than $100 at Eastwood. Comes with 2 different dies. Comes with the bead die, and it comes with these dies here. So but we're going to get it lined up. And this is one of those things, you just want to take your time, guys. You don't need to be in a big hurry. So, as you can see there, it's starting to work that in for us. Got just a little bit of a lip up starting there now. Set this down on our piece here. So, it lines up pretty good. We'll have to do a little tweaking on it once we get this where it can lay on down in there, but it's starting to take shape. Alright guys, they're slowly coming in there. We're going to keep working it just a little bit. So, but we've got our lip here built pretty good. Got to work on our radius just a little bit here. Got to bring this side back just a little bit. Then we'll mark out our line here. Follow this side back, then we'll be ready to start trimming it in. Alright guys, there it is. So, I've still got a little trimming to do up here, but I left this a little long, so once we put it on the car over, I can kind of see where it needs to lay. May have to reshape it just a little bit more, but once this is pulled down and it's all tacked in place, should be a pretty close fit. So we're going to get this cut out, get it welded in place and ground down. We'll show you what we got. There it is. We laid it up there. We scribed a line around the outside of it. Then we left about a 1/16 all the way around, came back with our grounder and just dressed it up to the line. So I've got it fitting pretty good. Like I said, I think we're still going to have to work on this a little bit once we get it in the car. But we're going to get this welded in, get it ground down, then we'll start fitting it to the car. Got it all welded in, ground down for the most part. Got a couple of little places I still got to go back and work on. Just wanted to get a test fit in, see how things were fitting. Overall, real happy with it. All of our old spot welds are all lined back up, or can be lined back up with everything, so it's fitting pretty good. Fits pretty good back here. We're going to drill a couple of holes. We got rid of one hole there, I know. May have to put another one back here. I'll look and see. That may just been off seam sealer back through there. So, but it's coming along real nice. This little patch here came out real nice, blended in real well. So pretty happy with it overall. We'll get everything cleaned up, get it all sprayed down, weld through primer, and be ready to start welding this piece back in.